me now? Who's gonna tear me down? Remember, this is my game. Yes, it is.
All right, and there it is. See, nice little intro. Works out.
Oh, yeah, I
Sounds
like that.
professional. It's like we
Very.
know what we're doing, right?
Almost, not quite.
So just go ahead and get the obligations out of the way, the obligatory introduction. I myself can go by Skull Seeker Dragon Destroyer, and this is my heterosexual life mate, Roger.
All true facts.
And this is the episode of Firsts, particularly because it's the first episode of the GGWP podcast.
First of many.
First of thousands.
Thousands.
Gonna make Rogan look like fucking Chris Chan. It's gonna be ridiculous, dude. High level. I'm kidding, Joe Rogan fanboys. I know how fucking passionate you are about being losers. I mean, fuck, dude.
Hey.
I am fucking this up. We're cut.
Hey, I love Joe Rogan. I love it.
We're splitting the audience already. I like Rogan too.
We're splitting. I love Rogan. I don't know what you're talking about.
I like Rogan, but you can't tell me that there aren't people that buy into it to an extreme amount, and then everything's fucking moose meat, DMT, and jujitsu.
Yeah, doubling, tripling down on that DMT section. Yeah.
Particularly the people that actually go out of their way to listen to the podcast. We're not talking about people that check out the clips. We're talking about
We're a clipper.
We're talking about people who go listen to the podcast on Spotify. There's millions of them.
No, we haven't listened to them.
You can't invoke their rage.
Oh,
you can't invoke their rage.
They're in the millions. We're getting canceled already.
Already, dude. Fuck it. I live in these waters. I have no fear. But to set the record straight, nothing against Rogan. Nothing against, that show. Great podcast. Super entertaining. Yeah. I mean, we enjoy it. But, that's a hard left right out of the gate. We're not even 3 minutes in. And people were like, dude, fuck this. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm out of here. So with that being said,
First.
The episode of Firsts.
First
so
episode.
We have some topics. And we don't entirely know what the other one's thinking and where it's going. So we're just going to kind of, play it by ear, take it as it comes, have some hopefully interesting conversations about it,
We're talking first games, though. Gaming related first.
Big facts. So
right.
let's keep it nice and chronological, nice and sequential, nice and no, I can't say that. Anyway, so first game that you can clearly remember playing, and elaborate on that a little bit. What was it like? I may not be familiar. The audience may not be familiar. You have to pander. I mean, engage with the audience.
The first game that I ever played was probably a PS1 racing game. I can't remember the exact name. Probably like Midnight Club or something. Do they have that for PS1?
Definitely not PS1.
I went over to my at this point I had no consoles of my own. I was
legendary game though. Let's go ahead and throw that out there. Midnight Club racing games, S tier.
Oh, without a doubt. But I had no console of my own. My parents were they weren't for the whole gaming thing. They didn't want me gaming. They thought it was a waste of time. So it took a long time for them to actually get me a console, and we'll get into that later, I'm sure. But one of my dad's friends, he had a PS1 and a shit ton of games. I mean, it was back when you had like these towers that you would put your discs in, and it was like a disc tower.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
What you mean.
He had multiple of these, and to me, that they almost went up to the damn ceiling, just full of games.
It's like a bookshelf for gamers.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I remember going over to his house. It's my earliest memories of gaming. Going over to his house, and he would let me play his PS1. And it was funny because, like I said, I'd play in racing games, and as a kid, I didn't know any better. So when I'm using the controller, I'm moving my whole body to steer left and right while holding the controller. Because I don't know, I'm making a turn, and in my brain, my body says I need to move my whole body to make this turn. And he would try to teach me better to not move my body, that it wasn't necessary. And I eventually grasped that concept. But yeah,
I think
playing
we all
racing
do
games
that.
on PS1, dude, I still do that in games today
Yeah, you
where
still
something.
lean. Like when I get
Yeah.
in to this day, if we went and played Counter-Strike really heavy for a couple of weeks, sometimes, man, especially if I'm a little bit fucked up, I turn my head IRL from
Yeah,
flashbangs. Like as
yeah,
soon
I've
as
done
I
that. I've
hear
done
it,
that.
I get shot in the fucking head because I'm an idiot.
I'll be playing a
But
game and something come at me, and I'll literally duck as I'm moving my character to also duck under this object.
dude, when I watch UFC fights, fucking if they're grappling, my chin is in my chest, like it hurts my sternum. I'm tucking my chin so hard, just like sympathetically watching.
But yeah, my first earliest gaming experience. PS1 racing game at my friend's house, probably when I was 5, 6 years old, because they were my babysitters. So that's my
Oh
earliest
yeah.
experience. What do you got?
I I don't honestly know. I have so many memories that involve playing video games, from like those vague super early memories where you might be like 3, almost 4, or 4 maybe 5. I was definitely playing before I was 5. But it's hard for me to know which one genuinely came first. Like I remember very early on playing Spider-Man and a Power Rangers game a lot on Sega Genesis,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't really necessarily understand what was happening. And then I definitely played a shitload of Super Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time. But I would say earliest memories is probably going to go back to that old Spider-Man game on the Genesis. Just a little side scroller kind of beat 'em up thing, but man, I liked Spider-Man the whole time. It was
Now, is
sick.
this a console that you had, or were you playing this at a friend's house?
No, we had a Genesis. If we
Lucky.
didn't, then I don't know where it came from.
You
You
got
know,
into
like it
video
was set
games
up in the
early.
house. Oh
For sure.
yeah,
My
dude.
parents were not about it. Not about it. I got into it kind of late.
Well, my dad wasn't and isn't. You know,
Hmm.
he's
Hmm.
uh he's basically Hank Hill, except a little bit harder. But my mom liked video games, so you know we were around them. And retrospectively, thinking back at it, it's like, God, the least dangerous or potentially illegal times in my life growing up were when I was playing video games, and my parents knew that. So it's like they knew that between me and my brother and shit, they could literally leave for an extended period, like unsupervised kids. And if they went to Blockbuster and like rented a game, that's all we would do. Like wake up early, sit there crisscross applesauce in front of a big ass TV, and just sit there eating cereal, taking turns playing this new game because we only have it for like 2 fucking days and we want to finish it. So it's like that. I was brought up by video games
I
in a sense.
guarantee if my parents knew of that 90s parenting life hack, they would have done it too, but they thought it was evil. So they missed out. They missed out. But I guarantee if they knew that's all they had to do to keep us entertained, they would have done it. But they just didn't
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
get it.
Well, they didn't want you to play the supreme Christian games like Doom.
Dude, I'm not even lying. I didn't get to play rated M games, or my parents wouldn't buy me rated M games until I met the age requirement on the cover of the games.
Like even as a teenager,
Even as
like
a teenager, dude.
oh no.
I got gifted rated M games. My PS2 that I got was donated to me. One of my mom's friends gave it to us to give to us for they re-gifted it as a Christmas present to us, as if they had gotten it. Uh,
Yeah.
anyway, it came with a bunch of games. A lot of them which were rated M. The console came from an adult, and my mom took those and hid them and held them until we turned a certain age. By that time, PS3, I think PS4 might have been out by the time I was that age when she gave me the PS2 rated M games because I was
Oh
old enough
man.
to play them.
There are very few games that I remember like not being allowed to play because my parents weren't super strict on shit, but there was some
Hmm.
kind of like weird rules as far as what's not acceptable content. Like, we could always sit down and watch fucking Law and Order SVU, no problem. But my parents didn't want us to watch The Simpsons for a while,
Hmm.
which doesn't really seem justified. They didn't want us to watch Ren and Stimpy, which completely seems justified. As an adult, I go back and watch that and I'm like, how the fuck was this ever airing on a children's television network, Like, it's completely vulgar and over the top. And, like, we're getting subjective, but I would say it's crude and almost purposeless. Like, I don't think it's doing anything particularly well, but that was like a really popular cartoon at the time. But bringing it back to video games, if there's one game I remember not being allowed to play, it was Conker's Bad Fur Day.
I'm not familiar.
For those of the uninitiated, Conker's Bad Fur Day is a very interesting game that has a cult following. It was on the Nintendo 64, and essentially it's from the same breadth and concept of the other major platformers at the time that were so legendary, like Super Mario 64 and Banjo and Kazooie. The difference with Conker's Bad Fur Day is it was a very adult game, despite having like these cute little cuddly animals and stuff like that. Like the opening cutscene, he's drunk, blackout drunk at a bar, and basically goes down the wrong path and runs into all kinds of crazy people. Like there's a giant singing pile of shit that's singing about how he's throwing his shit at you. There's a bee that you help rape a female flower with huge titties.
Oh Lord.
There's a broom that hangs himself out of depression, and it's like the entire game was very adult. It was so adult that they only promoted that game. They wouldn't promote it in like Nintendo Informer or whatever those magazines were that were
Oh, I had
prevalent at
those.
the
I had
time.
those. Yep.
Yeah, they only promoted it in Playboy and Maxim.
Now, how were
Porn
your
mags.
parents aware of this game and keeping you from playing it? Were they in on the gaming industry and the latest games and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so my mom, at whatever point in the late 90s, very early 2000s, decided to buy up a bunch of like PlayStations and Nintendos and all the hardware and games and stuff to resell on eBay. Infancy of e-commerce. Looking
Yeah,
back,
it had
it's
been
not a
early
bad
day
idea,
days.
but I don't know that she put in the right kind of effort to actually make it work. So
Mhm.
basically, my entire childhood, we had like an indisposable amount of Nintendos and PlayStation 1s, but that was it. Like, missed out on a lot of the newer consoles. So Conker's Bad Fur Day, we had copies of it, and my brother played it. He's 5 years older than me. So at the time, if I'm like 8, he's, like 13.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably wasn't supposed to play it either, but he has that big brother thing going on where who gives a shit,
Yeah,
Like they don't care about him
yeah.
anymore.
That's me.
He's the
That's me.
he's the big dumb ugly son, and I'm the
That's
cute
also me.
precious protected son. So, but yeah, Conker's Bad Fur Day was definitely the only one I can think of that was like controversial. I'm sure there was a good bit of that around Grand Theft Auto as well, but I coincidentally didn't have much of an interest in playing Grand Theft Auto.
Well, obviously, it sounds like you got to play, that game at some point. That I guess you got old enough they let you play it.
No, I snuck into my brother's room when he was gone and, took it from him and then played a little bit of it. But
That sounds like an ass beating waiting to happen if you got caught.
oh, yeah, 100%. But that never stopped me.
When does
Never.
it ever
Not
stop
once.
children, man?
I was going to be fighting with him regardless. It didn't matter if he had a legitimate reason to hit me,
Yeah.
So, yeah, Grand Theft Auto was definitely a controversial one. I don't think they ever really cared about Mortal Kombat because we definitely played a shitload of Mortal Kombat. And yeah, for the most part, got to do whatever. But it's an interesting idea, the games that you're not allowed to play and why,
Mm-hmm. Hey, well, while we're talking about it, you were talking about Mortal Kombat. Was that your first like co-op or like fighting game, multiplayer game?
I would say it's probably the first fighting game that we played, but it's not the most relevant one. Me and my brother definitely played a hell of a lot more Dragon Ball Z fighting games
Oh
than
yeah.
Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat was cool and it was the original, but
I made one of my friends throw a temper tantrum in that game by just button mashing. You know, he thought he was good throwing all these combos together, and I'm spamming buttons at his house one night. He starts rage quitting, throwing a temper tantrum, and crying and slamming shit. And his mom comes in there and straight up beats his
Whoops
ass
his
right in
ass.
front of right in front of me.
Isn't that the most awkward fucking thing that happens?
It
And
is,
that
dude.
happens
It
all the time.
is.
I grew up in the hood, so it was like kids that are neglected and everything smells like dog piss and shit like that. And like dad's drunk and just fucking beating the shit out of kids. Like it's a mess,
rough.
dude.
So you're
It
seeing
didn't
from a
seem
kid's
weird until I
perspective.
got older and looked back at it, you know?
Yeah. It was rather happened many times, but yeah, beat his
Speaking of
ass in that
split
game.
screening in fighting games, what were some early thoughts on co-op? You know, the good old split screen.
Well, see, that was my way of life for a long, long time because I have two brothers. One of them is only a year younger than me. So pretty much my parents were cheap. And if they bought a game console, they're buying one of them. They're not buying multiple. So I have to share it. And because he's only a year behind me, we go to the same school. We're pretty much in the only one grade apart. So we're getting off of school at the same time. We're wanting to play video games at the same time. So the only way you achieve that is by playing co-op split screen games. And that's all I played for pretty much, for the most part, for several years, early years of my video game uh,
So your
playing.
mom got cream pied at least 3 times.
Facts.
That's the takeaway.
I'd probably say more than that. We can get into some stories about how I know that's the case, but I don't think this is the podcast for that. That can be a separate podcast. We're talking about that.
At least 3 times. Yeah,
we'll-
you ever want
we'll
you
get
won't
into
see a
that.
funny reaction? Just ask someone something about like their birthday or something. Be like, "Oh, so your mom got cream pied in February because you're born in
Oh,
November."
no. Do a 9-month calculation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, I'll let everyone take that one. License it out. I won't charge you any royalties. Ask people about their mom getting cream pied. It happened.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about it. Anyway, we digress. What were we talking about? Co-op games or something? Not my mom.
Yeah.
Getting cream pied?
You playing games with your brother.
You've seen my mom and dad. Do you want to imagine that? I don't.
Oh man.
Anyway, yeah. Because we didn't get our own consoles until PlayStation 4, Xbox One days. So from Wii, PlayStation 2 on up. We had a PS3. Again, we shared all those things. So it was co-op on all of those, playing Call of Duty split screen to other co-op centric games like One Man Army of Two. Not sure if you've ever heard of that one.
Yeah.
It's because at this point we're getting old enough where we can actually request games for Christmas, and we both have to keep in mind that we are sharing the game and we have to play at the same time, or one of us is getting put out. So instead of fighting over it, we kind of came together with a mutual understanding that if we both want to play, we need to find a game we can both play. It really sucked when one of the controllers got messed up and there was only one controller. That there was some fights there, but that's the way of life for me.
Yeah. Me and my brother, particularly him, but to be fair, neither of us are that reasonable. There was no mutual understanding. It was fight to the death about it, and then by the time we were like late teens, it was like, all right, well, he wants an Xbox and he wants a PlayStation. So, okay. Like after a while they got separated because it just, I cannot stress enough. There is no way to prevent me and my brother Eric from arguing and fighting. All logic is going to go out the window. You can come up with all kinds of good game plans for logical ways to remedy these situations, and it's not going to work because you're dealing with illogical people. It will not work.
You fighting over just getting looked at sideways?
Oh, dude. Everything, all the time. We got into a fist fight in the Cracker Barrel parking lot as adults after he came back from basic training. Over the front seat. That's what we got into a fight about.
You're adults calling shotgun and fist fighting over it in the parking lot.
Literally. I'm like
16
and he's like 19 or 20. And literally getting into a fight. My dad thinks it's the funniest shit in the world, He just sits there. crack open a beer and watch. You know, he's like, fuck it, what am I gonna do? Oh well.
Sounds like my grandfather. Yeah, yeah, man.
So, a particularly interesting question for me in the realm of firsts. The first game you hated.
Mm. The
First
first.
game that made you say, like, hey man, you want to play this? It's like, no, I don't. I hate that
Mm,
shit.
that's an interesting one. That's a tough one. Let me hear what you got. I'm gonna just put some thought into it. Let me hear what you got.
Well, it's nothing too spectacularly interesting. A lot of people probably never even heard of the game, but I think I would say Glover. I think that was the name of the game. I just really did not enjoy that game. You're literally like walking around as a little glove, like pushing
What the
balls and
fuck?
doing like puzzle platformer type shit, but the controls absolutely sucked. To this day, I can't tell you anything about the plot. I have no idea what was going on. I just knew that it was confusing, obscure, and I was a glove, and all I could do was these little fucking physics based puzzles on a Nintendo 64, so you can imagine how physics based puzzles went. And yeah, I was not a fan of that game. Did not have a good time. Do not recommend. And there are plenty of shitty games that I enjoyed, but that was not one of them. That's probably the earliest memory I have of distinctly not wanting to play a game.
Well, I'll tell you from my perspective in my situation, I didn't have the leisure of hating games. You know, I got what I got, and I had to play them. So I found a way to enjoy pretty much any and all video games for a long time. Probably not until I became an adult, I started hating games where I'm spending my own money to buy them, and then being disappointed with what the product is. But if I can go back to a first, I would say this game I didn't necessarily hate, but I was so bad at it that I couldn't play it, and it was extremely frustrating. So I just stopped playing it, and that was
Mm-hmm.
it was an old Wolverine video game. You played as Wolverine from a third
Oh,
person
the stealth
perspective.
one?
Yeah, that might be it. I don't remember. It was on PS2. I had it for PS2,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like a third person perspective. And you play as Wolverine. I remember one of the first levels, you're breaking out of the containment center,
Yep.
where he gets shot up with a shit that turns him to, I don't know, Wolverine idiom or whatever he's got in his bones or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's like a minefield outside, and if you go out there, you like blow up. I couldn't figure out where to go. I assumed the way you had to go was through the minefield, so I just kept running out there and blowing up over and over and over again, and got to the point where I just couldn't figure out how to get past literally level one, and just stop playing the game entirely.
Relatable.
I thought it was going to be good. I love Wolverine, but I went to the game was bad. I was just bad, and as a result, I just didn't play that game. I couldn't beat it,
Yeah,
man.
and that's how that used to be, man, you know? Like we didn't have options. You couldn't download a bunch of free games. So it's like I spent a lot of time just playing demo discs and shit
Yeah,
like that,
yeah,
you know.
done
You
that.
played what you had. They recently
Hmm.
remade Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance and released it on Steam. But I used to play that back in the day on GameCube, and that's like a, I don't want to say hardcore RPG for the people that actually play RPGs like that, but to me, it's like that's a real RPG with, you know, all kinds of different skills and stats and different inventory items and, you know, kind of dungeon crawling in a sense. And I had no exposure to that, and that's never been my thing, but I played it because that's what we had, you know. You couldn't just use your Wi-Fi and get another fucking game. If you're going to play a game, you're going to play a game. And
This
I
some of this predates Wi-Fi entirely.
oh yeah, like entirely. And I know exactly what Wolverine game you're talking about. I never finished it. I thought it was very
Did you get
difficult,
past level one? Because I didn't.
significantly past level 1.
I didn't even get past level one, man.
I think once I unlocked, and I could be just like making shit up, but I'm pretty sure there were different skins in the game, like costumes. And once I unlocked the
Hmm.
one from the like comic books and cartoons, you know, the yellow and black
The
one,
OG, yeah, yeah.
yeah, then I took much less of an interest in the game. But I remember specifically that that was probably one of my most played like stealth shooters, like Metal Gear Solid type, because that's
Hmm.
how it worked. Like the only way you could progress in that game without having 1,000 hours and speed running it was to like crouch behind shit and watch how people are moving and like assassinate them with your
Maybe that
claws,
was my
basically.
problem. Maybe I didn't have the mental capacity to understand that. So I remember just dying over and over again, but I don't remember trying to be stealthy at any point, and that was probably my issue. Was just trying to run through levels and kill
You're
guys.
describing me playing Sekiro Shadows Die Twice in like 2020. Like that's how that game went for me. It's like the first little mini boss with extra health and extra attack, and it's like, well, I've gone as far as I'm making it. I'm not a big fan of the roll out of the way combat, so you can tell.
Yeah, I remember one of the first multiplayer games I played ever was again at one of my parents' friends' house. I didn't have any consoles, and they had I don't remember the console, PS1 or PS2, and it had a James Bond game on it. I can't remember tell you what Bond game it was.
I
We
can
played
throw out two names, and I guarantee you it's one of these two, just based on the period. It's
probably I
either
can
007 Nightfire or 007 Agent Under Fire. I'm familiar with
Nightfire
both.
sounds kind of familiar. I remember playing. It was we played split screen multiplayer, and
Mhm.
you'd run around. And I remember like a snowy map. It's just a little small map. You kill each other. That was objective. It's like TDM kind of thing. And you run
Mhm.
around picking up guns. There was guns on the ground, and you run over and pick them up. Sniper rifles, different guns and stuff, and just killing each other.
I don't think GoldenEye was on the PS1, but I could be wrong about
I
that.
could be mistaken about the console.
GoldenEye is like the most OG and prolific 007 game ever, you know. I don't think it's necessarily the best, but as if you weight it with nostalgia and all of that, like that's the one that everybody that was playing games back then remembers, you know.
The one I was playing, the multiplayer experience, kind of felt like a Quake style. You know how Quake, you run around, pick up the guns, kind of like that, but a
Yeah.
little bit slower, less movement. And I remember it be like I said, it being a snowy map, and with like almost I won't say a train car, the car that goes on the zip lines in the air,
Yeah. Yeah.
rail, whatever the fuck that is. Had one of those in there, and you get up there with a sniper and shoot at people. But that was a really fun game, and probably the earliest multiplayer experience I can think of, playing split screen on that with some dude's dad, my mom's friend, or whatever, and
Just
having a
getting
really good time.
dicked by a
Oh,
grown ass man.
oh yeah, dude, because he knows where all those weapon drops are, the spawns, and all that good stuff, and I'm just getting rolled.
Oh
Um,
yeah, dude. When I
but
play
when he,
with my nephew Alan, I smoke him.
no
Zero,
mercy, no
zero
mercy.
restraint in anything ever.
Objective 1, make him cry.
If I can, yeah, for sure.
Objective 2, make him break the controller.
There's levels to this
Objective
shit.
3, get his ass beat by his dad.
Fact. I haven't been playing games this hard for this long for no reason. The fuck am I gonna hold back for? Let me show you what you can achieve.
What was your first multiplayer experience?
Shit, man. First multiplayer. Again, it's like there's so many games that we played.
Oh yeah, it's hard to go back through there. There's so many.
I would say originally, probably, well, I can think of a few different games that we played multiplayer very early on, like 007 GoldenEye, split screen, silence pistol, golden guns, a one shot kill, all of that stuff. Uh, Torok, which was a hunting dinosaurs with a bow and arrow game, kind of interesting.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think they recently remade it, or somewhat recently. And then, of course, the party games, because everyone in my household was a big fan of Super Mario 64 and whatnot, so it made sense that we played Mario Party. I remember that one particularly fondly because people like my parents, who didn't play video games like that, could still pick it up and read that little tutorial on how the game is played and play with us. So, just purely based on my own little feelies and whatnot, I particularly enjoyed those party games because
The
that's
only
like the
games,
only time I played with them,
the only games that I could get my parents to play, and they did played it a lot actually, was
Ass
Rock
Beat
Band
Simulator.
no, Rock Band for the
Belt.
Wii. Yeah, they did like
yeah.
that one too. Rock Band for the Wii. We had the entire setup with the drums, the microphone, multiple guitars, 2 guitars. One of them would be a bass in the game, and I could actually get my whole family to play. My mom singing, my dad on drums, me and my brother on guitar. We had a lot of fun. Yeah, we played that a lot actually. It was a lot of the times it was their idea to play it when we got home. I think they actually really enjoyed it. A lot of the songs on there, like classic rock songs and stuff, so they recognize a lot of those songs.
Yeah.
And I think that really connected with them, being able to hear a lot of those songs they already knew and liked and loved, and be able to pretend like they're in the band playing along to those songs. It really resonated with them.
I was
That
kind of
real
team
fun.
Guitar Hero, but I could
Yeah, we had
definitely
both.
see that appeal.
Yeah, we had both, but I don't think the Rock Band setup worked with the Guitar Hero, like all those instruments.
And then DJ Hero, my brother got, and that came along significantly later, but that was cool because that was more in tune with the music that we actually liked listening to and whatnot.
I wanted that. My parents wouldn't get that for me. Unfortunate.
I wonder why.
I don't know,
yeah,
man.
if I remember correctly, on was it DJ Hero or another game? Anyway, it included some amount of microphones. I distinctly remember like having to do the vocals on like "Hypnotized" by Biggie Smalls, and I think my brother was doing the keys and shit. Any game that has a weird controller, I appreciate at least a little bit for being different. Like the Guitar Heroes and Rock Bands and stuff.
You gonna bring up the one where you had the bongo?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
This whole
I know you know
this
that game.
entire 30 minutes of conversation has been me strategically leading up to talking about the Donkey Kong bongos from the GameCube. The GOAT. And the worst part is it had like a sensor on the top, so it's not just left and right on the bongos, which was cool and fun. It included a lot of clapping too, so you couldn't like quietly play that. You'd have to be just clapping like a retard the whole goddamn time, trying to catch bananas and shit. But it was still super fun, you know? It was interesting.
I never got that.
Old school throwback, back in the day, Hey You Pikachu, which they recently remade on Switch. This is back Nintendo 64 days. Instead of a regular controller, it worked with a little mic, and basically you wake up and you're like in your house or whatever with a fucking Pikachu, and you tell it what to do, and it does that. I can't tell you how you beat the game, what the purpose of it is. I just remember telling Pikachu to go grab apples and shit, and then he did. And that was kind of cool. It was an interesting thing, you know?
Yeah, I never had that. I had the PlayStation Move, the Wii, those controllers. I mean, the Wii in itself is a whole animal.
Yeah, I never
discussion.
used the like PlayStation or Xbox Connect or whatever the PlayStation equivalent was. I saw past that marketing bullshit immediately. I was like, no, that sucks.
Oh,
That's going
I
to
had
suck.
it. We didn't play it. It did suck. It did suck. The Wii didn't. The Wii was great, but PlayStation
I thought the Wii
Move,
was
I think
really
it was.
good, and then I went back and played a couple of the games I thought were super cool and fun. Like I think one was Red Steel, and you're basically this badass guy with a katana, you know, Kill Bill and shit. And it sounds really cool, and it felt really cool at the time. But if you go back into YouTube and look up like fucking Red Steel gameplay, it looks like it was made for the Nintendo, and you have like 3 different sword movements. Like that's it, you know.
I remember the jousting from Wii Sports, and that was fun.
There was
Yeah.
jousting in Wii Sports?
Yeah, it was like, I think it was Wii Sports 2. I think they made a sequel, and it had jousting, if I'm not mistaken. And that was fun. And you always had you faced the same tough black guy that you did in boxing that beat your ass. They had
Mike
that
Tyson?
same, yeah, pretty much. They had that same dude, but he had a jousting sword. He'd also beat your ass. He was the hardest difficulty guy.
Ooh.
Maybe no. It might have been Wii Sports Resort. Remember that? Did you have that?
No, dude. I had the Wii Sports that everyone had that came with the console, and that's
Also great.
unironically the best game for Wii.
Bowling. You cannot forget
Yep,
Wii Sports
bowling, baseball, tennis, golf, maybe 1 or 2 other ones, you know?
My parents loved the Wii Sports as well. They loved playing the bowling and the tennis. We had a racing game, like a monster truck racing game with a steering wheel.
Oh, yeah, I remember the wheels. I never had one, but I know what you're talking about.
My brother was straight up rage quitting in that game and took the Wii remote and threw it at our flat screen TV that we had and completely destroyed it and got both our asses beat because he wouldn't admit to doing it. That was like, if one of you don't tell me who the fuck did this, I'm beating both your ass. I'm like, he did it. I didn't do it. And we got our asses beat. This motherfucker had
You're
like
like,
anger management
please, I
problems.
will sign the paperwork. I'll cop a deal.
Yeah.
Give me a plea.
Yeah. But he wouldn't admit to it, man. So we got both our asses beat. I remember that same TV. My dad just left it hanging there as a constant reminder of you're not getting a new TV. Look at what you got. That's what you have because you fucking broke it. Not buying you another one. He was that kind of dude. But Alex Crowell came over to my house one day. Remember Alex? And he straight up hit that shit with a baseball bat. The motherfucker was wild. Might have been Tyler.
What the fuck?
I think it was Tyler, yeah. He was like, hey, man, is your TV broken? I'm like, yeah, man, it's broken. Oh, so you won't mind if I do this then, right? And grabs a fucking baseball bat that was laying there in the room and just smashes the fucking TV with the baseball bat.
I would have whooped his fucking ass.
Yeah, I was completely shocked at what had happened, but we were kids at that time. I was a kid too, so it didn't even bother me. As an adult, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty fucked up. As a kid, I was like, I guess it was already broken. So
Okay, so nobody in your home loves you.
yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, but yeah, that Wii monster truck game with the wheel, it was so hard to control that wheel. It wouldn't. I don't know. I'd always be driving my monster truck off cliffs and having to get restarted as I couldn't turn around a damn cliff.
Hell yeah. That's what I like to hear. So what was your first franchise that really caught your attention? Meaning, like,
That's
regardless of when you picked it up, you played the game, you were like, this is that good shit. I can't wait for the next one.
I think you're gonna agree. I think a lot of people are gonna agree. It was the Call of Duty franchise, for obvious reasons. One, well, this is Call of Duty came out, or the Call of Duty games that everyone loves. Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops. Those games came out at the height of when I was stuck with the same console as my brother, and we had to play split screen.
Yeah,
so those games were perfect for split screen. You could each have your own separate accounts because we played a lot of private matches, just 1v1ing each other, throwing bots in or whatever, just to have fun on split screen. So you have your own accounts doing that and your own progression, your own custom classes and things like that. So that game lended itself perfectly to what we needed and what we both enjoyed playing.
That's actually what caused that rift that could never be remedied that forced me and my brother onto separate consoles.
Call of Duty?
Yeah, because we had the no, I want to say that even though he had a PlayStation, we shared my Xbox because we both wanted to play Call of Duty. I don't know for sure. I want to say that at that time, Assassin's Creed 1 had just come out, and that was one of his favorite games. He got like the Platinum Trophy, 100%ed it. And we were sharing Modern Warfare 2 on my console on the same account. And I'm pretty sure we got into arguments about, well, the two major prongs would probably be me saying, you're dog shit, you're ruining the KD, you have way too many deaths, you suck.
Now, are you better than him at Call of Duty, being the younger brother?
I don't know that I was substantially
I know Eric to be
in the
a terrible video game player.
Yeah, I don't know that I was in the beginning. I definitely put in the time to surpass. Keep that in mind, kids. You'll continue getting better at the things you do. So, and then arguing about whose turn it was, because, I'm sure that just one time I threw it in his face that it's like, this is my console and my game, and I want to play it. And he was like, all right, bet. I'll never touch it again. And he didn't. Literally. That's the kind of stubbornness that we're talking about here. So, yeah, we definitely shared a lot on Modern Warfare 2, and I love Modern Warfare 2.
Now, is that your first favorite franchise, Call of Duty?
I would say no. I would say no. First favorite franchise is probably going to have to be... I have a couple of options in my head, so I'll just throw them out there. Dead air. Firstly being Zelda, because from a extraordinarily young age, I knew that I loved Zelda Ocarina of Time. If you ask me, that's still the greatest video game ever made. And I also loved the follow-up, Majora's Mask. And I knew that they were going to keep making games, and I really wanted to be a part of that. And I did to an extent, like I had a GameCube, but I was young, and just ended up not getting all of the following Zelda games.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't get whatever you wanted. I wasn't paying for it myself. And on the other side, I would say Oddworld was very big and good for me, and that was a game that I played a couple of. Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, and Exodus. And after that, they started making other shit that more people have played that I have not, like Stranger's Wrath. If you bring up
Mm-hmm.
Oddworld, more people are familiar with that. And then, yeah, it pretty much went dead. And then as an adult, they finally recreated and re-released like the sequel. And played that as well. Spoiler alert. Great game, lots of good stuff going for it. But I don't like a lot of the design choices,
I haven't played that one.
The game's always been super punishing, but the designs are kind of dumb, in my opinion.
I've got one to throw in the mix franchise that I forgot about that I actually played before and liked before Call of Duty, and that was the Need for Speed franchise.
Valid.
Yeah, a lot of good songs on the tracks. A lot of cool cars. This is around Fast and Furious time frame when the movies came out and inspired that whole culture of people. And those games fit right into it at the right time. I remember playing Hot Pursuits, either 1 or Hot Pursuit 2 on a really crappy PC. One of my first PC experiences playing.
I remember playing Hot Pursuit and thinking that a Mitsubishi Spider was like the coolest car in the world. And I see them all the time now. I'm like, man, that thing is a piece of shit.
Hey, we can get it. The Eclipse, the Spider, the Eclipse GSX. We won't get that's another podcast too. We won't get into cars right now, but I'm gonna stand by the Eclipse. There's some nice Eclipses out there, but anyway,
yeah, and they're all missing a fucking corner panel. They all have fist-sized dents in the back.
I did have
empty Busch Light
Eclipse.
Cans.
I did have an Eclipse that was dented in the back a lot. It got someone hit it and dented it in, and the previous owner took a hammer to the inside and tried to beat it out, so it had a bunch of smaller dents instead of one big dent.
So you had that whole geometric pattern going.
Yeah,
it's a special effect. That's custom fabrication. You can't pay for that. They can't do that in a factory, can they? Didn't think so.
But Need for Speed, man, super cultural. A lot of that car scene came out of that from today's car scene from the Fast and Furious movies and those Need for Speed games. Specifically, for me, like I said, Hot Pursuit 1 and 2 on PC. But I really loved that franchise early on.
What I want to know, and I think this is a really good one. What is the first game that disappointed you? What were you looking forward to, but did not meet your expectations, and why?
Another tough one. Something like that is probably going to be. I probably wouldn't have had any experiences like that until I was an adult, and again, spending my own money on games
doesn't matter.
To be,
it happened. It's happened at least once.
So I would say
that happened.
And I'm going to say this.
Call of Duty again, because they started making dog shit after all of those great games.
Call of Duty disappointed me several times after probably Black Ops 2. Black Ops 3 was all right, but after that, it got really bad. But no, I'm going to say this is the fault more of the console I was playing on, and I fault with the console than the game, but the game also was disappointing. So it would be Destiny 1, unpopular opinion. A lot of people love that game. And that's because I bought the game with my own money on an Xbox One Elite that I bought with my own money as an 18-year-old with no money.
Fact.
And I get home to play this game that I'm excited to play, stick the disc into my brand new $600 Xbox I just used on my brand new credit card I maxed out. To have this great experience.
Feel this time period as you describe it. I know I did the same exact fucking thing.
Yeah.
I had no money, and I was like, I don't care. I'm getting the new Xbox.
Yeah. I got the most expensive one. So I put the disc in, and I'm like super excited to play this game. Then it pops up, update downloading. I'm like, what do you mean? All my previous experience was putting a disc in and playing the game instantly, right?
Yeah.
So I look at the update, I click on it, and this motherfucker says 3 days download time. And I don't know if it's a combination of my poor internet I had at my house, poor quality Wi-Fi, or the system. But that game took multiple days overnight to download the update for Destiny 2, Destiny 1 that was like 60 gigs or something ridiculous like that. And then when I finally get in the game, I don't know, man, it was a whole disappointing experience. Main disappointment is just the shock of having to download a 62 gig update on a game
when you have the game in your hand.
Yeah, I have.
And you're like, this isn't how this works.
Yeah, I was so disappointed. That's the most disappointed I've been in a game, in gaming type thing at all.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
My 3 days were ruined, dude. I had an Xbox I couldn't use. I just maxed out my credit card on.
Oh yeah, that sounds spicy.
Yeah, I was pissed.
But I feel the internet pain, man, because like I said, you know, as a child, you don't have control over that, and that's why I've always had no problem paying for great internet, because I spent my life without it.
And I think I don't know, you won't be able to relate, but I think you can feel the pain. Imagine me as a kid playing Call of Duty with NAT type strict.
Facts.
Some of my friends I just couldn't play with because we couldn't connect because my NAT type was strict.
Oh yeah, I spent weeks off and on, you know, going in there fucking with those settings and whatnot. My shit was so backwards. Like, my internet is a whole shit show. So, first problem, since we've lived in the same house the whole time, the modem was never updated until like 2013 from the late 90s, right? So, the plan of internet we were on was so outdated, it didn't even exist anymore. Like, basically, we spent less money and got exponentially faster internet. The plan we were on was like $100 a month for 2 megabytes up, 2 megabytes down, 0.5 megabyte up.
I had 3.
Yeah. Oh. So it was real bad, and I didn't know anything about modems and routers and whatnot. I just knew that I needed to connect my console to the internet to be able to play. So I literally bought a wired router that, again, wired, didn't even have damn Wi-Fi, and it was broken. The only purpose it served was letting me like plug Ethernet from the modem into that router to get more than one output of Ethernet so they could be connected to the computer as well as the console. And the computer, dude, oh my God. I don't know if the graphics card itself shit the bed or if the drivers were like damaged beyond all repair, but literally it's the slowest computer you could ever imagine. And the picture quality was so bad that no matter what you had on screen, it was like self-censored. Like, you know, the like deep fried shit posty memes and stuff where things are like covered in static. That's a dead ass what it looked like all the time. Like, you couldn't do anything about it. So like, yeah, I came from the struggle on the hardware, and that's why I have a 3080 and fast fucking internet that's expensive, and I don't care because I spent my entire life having dog shit internet, and I refuse. Everything I like is on the internet. I don't care about real life. I need fast internet life.
Yeah, you're an IRL speedrunner. Just to get back to the game. I understand, though. I understand. Yeah, I'm the same way. Got to have that fast internet. Got to have that good hardware. Because, it's NAT
out here balling. So your first and most disappointing release was Destiny on the new Xbox, because
like I said,
the Elite, didn't have the money for it, and just didn't get any of that dopamine back from knowing that you're spending all this money.
I don't even think it's the fault of the game. I think it's the fault of the console, and that's why I have the bone to pick with Microsoft, and I still do to this day for that experience. That bone has not been picked.
I think it's hilarious that as a community there was such an outrage and uproar about all of the things that we naturally move towards anyway. Like needing to be connected to the internet, not having physical copies of games. Well, Xbox was doing that for the longest, and PlayStation was always like, hey, you have to pay to play online. Well, guess what? Now you fucking retards do too. So
but yeah, I remember having that debate.
Retard alert! Retard alert!
Well, a retard I may be.
I almost made it without touching the soundboard.
They made it what, like 50 minutes? Yeah, you almost made it. Almost made it.
I'm trying my best.
Yeah, we argued with my middle school friends about that, about what was better. High school friends talking shit about Xbox players because they have to pay for their membership.
Let me
I
go
know,
ahead and
years
shout
later,
out the GOAT of Call of Duty, fucking Eddie.
Eddie.
Because that's when I met him in middle school, and people will not wrap their head around what I'm saying. Without any warm up, any practice, any knowing of the game, his likelihood to pick up that controller and dick on absolutely anybody you can think of is through the roof. Like the raw potential of his competence. This is a guy who a couple of years ago started playing Apex Legends and even streamed it a little bit and like accidentally got on the very top of the leaderboards as an Apex Predator. Like no effort,
like top
dicks
50.
everyone down. Exactly. And then when you watch him play, it doesn't even make sense.
People just walk in front of him, dude. They act like he's
It's
not
like
even there.
he's an Aikido master or something, and he's like the 130-pound old man that the professional football player can try to tackle, and he just like flicks him off by his pinky.
What
And his
always
dad's the same way. It's like people don't see him. It's like he's invisible, but it works. And
does.
You can't even iron it out to like game sense or positioning because it's like I understand all of those things, and it's like he gets max benefit from all of those things, putting no effort into understanding them or doing it, you know?
It blew my mind, and I can be mistaken, but didn't he not play on like a sensitivity of like 2 or something, like really, really low sensitivity?
Super low sensitivity.
See, I went to my parents'
no
house
aim assist.
last Sunday and played on Xbox for the first time in a long time with my brother. And I thought of Eddie and how he played Xbox. And I was like, man, I'm going to turn my sensitivity down like Eddie does. I'm going to try it. Dude, I got straight up wrecked playing Call of Duty Vanguard at my parents' house. People were running by me and I just couldn't turn fast enough to shoot them. They would slide behind me and to shoot me in the back. I have no idea how that man could play on such low sensitivity and do so well. And when you're dead and you spectate him, that dude, he's just standing there. People run by him. He shoots them. I don't know how it happens.
It doesn't even make sense. But I'm telling you, as much as I hate to admit it, I distinctly remember on a modern Call of Duty on Modern Warfare, 2v2ing him, me and you versus Eddie, and I don't even know who the fuck
we
was
were
with
on
Eddie.
PC, dude.
It didn't matter who was with Eddie. I had thousands of hours in Counter-Strike at this point, and I'm still getting outgunned by this fucking console player that's just like a prodigy of first-person shooters.
Natural born.
Absurdly good at the game for no reason.
And we're on mouse and keyboard and getting destroyed.
And I'm not just on mouse and keyboard. I'm experienced. I'm good at it. Like, I wasn't new to it. And he's still doing it. And that's why I say it doesn't matter who he was with, because the truth is we could be 2v1ing Eddie and somehow he would sneak out those wins.
I'm pretty sure we did 2v1 him at one point.
Like, it's craziness. He's the best gamer that nobody knows of.
We won't let
a
him
doubt.
know this, but he carried me through those little 2v2 challenges to get me the rewards. I had him carry me through all those.
Oh, no.
To get the special rewards in that game, 2019 Modern Warfare. Don't tell him that, though.
Yeah,
we'll never admit it to his face.
Eddie's a phenom. Yeah, absolutely not.
We'll call him trash.
I'm not going to tell him
we're calling him
about
trash.
Yeah, if I talk to Eddie, I'll be like, so when are you going to get good?
Yeah. Imagine if he moves over to PC at any point.
God. Oof.
Myco Pro and something.
That would be interesting. That'd be.
You've been trying to convince him,
time.
but he won't do it. But
yeah. If he didn't have so much other shit going on, like having a kid and working and stuff, and he joined the Air Force now.
Oh, he's got a full plate.
Yeah. But it's like, he's so damn good. You need to get him like a damn racing horse. Just set him up with a PC, come to some sort of agreement where he gets paid to play for a certain amount of time, and then put him in something competitive. And like I said, the crazy part to me is it's genetic. Playing with his dad. His dad is comparable to him in skill. And it's the same looking shit, you know? Like, it's wild. It's absurd.
Yeah, no, my dad's not good at video games, not at all.
My dad's good at real life.
My dad's good at sitting on the couch with a TV on, not paying attention to it, and just scrolling on Facebook on his iPad with it 2 inches from his face, resting on his stomach. You can imagine that.
My dad's good at never actually watching a NASCAR race. He used to do that all the time.
Oh, yeah. My dad
Every time in my life I've ever seen him sit down in front of the TV with NASCAR on, you'll see him like tilt his hat down and lean back and fall asleep. And if you ask him something about, no, I was resting my eyes. I wasn't asleep. Every time you hear this motherfucker snoring across the house.
Yep. My dad was the same.
Well, that's a little wholesome moment to talk about before we wrap up. You got anything else particularly interesting or insightful, controversial, brave, inspiring, cinematic, climatic to say?
Well, there's a lot of firsts we can talk about. We can sit here and talk about firsts for hours and hours and hours. I mean, I would be impressed if you could tell me about the first time that you rage quit. Since we're about to quit, what's the first time you rage quit?
That is good. So, I don't know when I started rage quitting. As a child, you know, if you're playing a single player game, it's like there's nowhere to really quit to unless you're going to stop playing the game. So I'm sure that happened a fair amount of the time. But it was kind of like you with X-Men. It's not that I'm, you know, over the game. It's that I don't feel like I'm being treated fairly in a sense. You know, it's like this doesn't make sense to me. I can't understand what I need to do. I don't feel like I have enough opportunity to improve or to continue, you know. Yeah, I was very driven to be better at video games from like the very beginning, and it caused me a lot of great frustration and anger because I played a lot of really difficult games that required really tight timing and things like that with like stealth stuff, those old platformers, you know, lots of stuff like that. First person shooters and stuff never really even seemed difficult, you know, especially back in those days. It's more like you find where people are and you shoot them in the head and then you move, right? Press W, move up a little bit. But yeah, I remember like fighting Ganon and Ocarina of Time and doing different shit in different games and getting so frustrated that I would just like full force punch myself in the face. Like gave myself black eyes and busted lips and stuff.
The people at school thinking your parents beat your ass, but you're really just beating yourself.
Well, you know, a little bit of both, but regardless, just full of rage and had no way to express that. To me, it never made sense to throw a controller. Like, why would I do that? This is going to ruin it.
I get angry in a similar way where I'm like doing that internal, like you're just kind of grunting to yourself because you don't want to scream. Your parents
as an adult, it's a grunt, but as a kid, I was so consumed by it that I didn't know what to do and I didn't want to damage anything, you know, that I wanted to use like a controller. So I just hit myself.
I'd get so mad and I'd have the controller in my hand and go through a full powerful swing to smash the controller and then stop like an inch from hitting it on whatever I was going to. Because I know if I break my controller, my parents aren't buying me a new one. And I just can't. So but I would go through the whole motion of pretending to beat the shit out of my controller, knowing good and well that I would not. But
well, hitting something releases a lot of anger. But I also learned from a very young age that if you're really angry and ready to do something, getting punched square in the fucking mouth will change your feelings towards that really quick. Like, that's why I learned through fighting, and the same was true there. So we get rid of some anger by throwing the punch. You replace a lot of that anger with sadness and existential dread because you just punched yourself square in the face. You're like 6 years old and you really leaned into that motherfucker. And now you're like a little confused and bleeding, and it's a whole thing.
You over here like Dwight from The Office doing karate on himself.
Exactly. So then you get cleaned up from all that. You wipe your tears. You sit back down, and you go again. Always go again. Quitting, I would say that probably came down to those old fighting games with tournament modes. Like, particularly, I remember there were lots of challenges and things like that in the old Smash games and Dragon Ball Z games. Kind of like with Mortal Kombat, how, Sub-Zero was the final boss and that was the hardest fight, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I remember on Dragon Ball Z Budokai, I want to say, fighting Hercule toward the very end was such dog shit and so, like, impossible at the time that that's frustrating because in a tournament like that you might have to have 10 or 15 fights, and if you lose at the end you have to restart. So if you want to finish that tournament and unlock whatever it is, you have to restart, and that sucks a lot.
Yeah,
Big grumpy.
I was not a natural gamer. A lot of these gaming concepts I didn't understand. Like I said, that Wolverine game, not getting past level 1, so I just didn't understand the concept of sneaking around.
Yeah.
Not natural. It was a hard learning experience, a hard learning curve I had to get over to get where we are today. But
so was that the initial rage quit?
That
that exact Wolverine game, you're like, can't do it, dude. Fuck off.
I mean, pretty much. I ended up rage quitting a lot in Call of Duty during the Call of Duty days. There was always times where I was getting rolled and almost wanting to break my controller. My brother would actually break controllers, and it pissed me off because we shared controllers. This motherfucker can't control himself and actually breaks them. Like I said, he threw that Wii remote at the TV, breaking the TV. Yeah, he broke multiple PS3 remotes, PS2 remotes.
It's crazy how life comes full circle and you just lose on both sides the entire time. Like, I remember being young in Modern Warfare 2 and people being like, shut the fuck up, squeaker. And now I play games and it's like, you're old, shut the fuck up, go get a job. It's like, I have a job, and I particularly enjoy making kids cry playing Overwatch. What are you gonna do about it? There was never a middle ground where it was like, yes, I am the appropriate age, respect me, appreciate me, have a reasonable discourse. It goes straight from you're a squeaker to you're old.
Yep.
Yeah. Even if you're not.
Perfect sweet spot.
Yeah, it's just like, it being like 15. People were like, you're too old. And
what is
like,
the
you sound like you're 30.
The perfect age. What is that age of the perfect age?
There is no perfect age,
I agree. Yeah.
Because if you ask me, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep being better. I mean, I love playing video games. I'm going to keep doing that. And
I can't wait to get old and be retired and be in a retirement home and just game all day. Just dope me up when we play video games.
Doesn't that sound like the greatest?
Yeah, change my diaper. Can't wait for it.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, I think that was a great episode of First. If you're here, you should follow, like, subscribe on YouTube. If you didn't know it's going to be on YouTube, it is already. So go check that out. Unless you're one of those people who just listens to podcasts, in which case, please forgive me for what I said about Joe Rogan an hour ago. And any questions, input, logical discourse, or slander and slurs, however you feel about it, Bradley, GGWP at gmail.com, BRADLEY, GGWP at gmail.com. You got any closing thoughts for the one person that's listening already?
I don't know. Shout out to that man, woman, or child. May God bless you. Thank you for, putting up with our bullshit, because we definitely
exposing yourself to these toxic levels of stupidity.
Yeah. You lost a couple brain cells, and we appreciate you for letting us kill them.
It was a good time, though.
Yeah.
All right.
We keep going for more hours. We could.
And just in case you didn't know, there will be more. There is more every week. Check us out. We'll be here.
Well, thanks, boys, for tuning in. GGWP.
Who's gonna stop me now?